So we're here again with Doug Schneider, founder of SoundStage Network. Sitting today on a lovely fall day. We're a week after, not a week, just had Canadian Thanksgiving the other day. And Doug's back and actually wants to ask me some questions today. So go ahead, Doug.
I guess what we talked about earlier, and what's top of my mind, we've known each other for about 20 years. And you've always been into vinyl.
Yep.
You've got digital.
Yep.
You've got vinyl. And you've always said to me, you feel vinyl is up here, higher than digital.
Yep.
Do you believe that to be true?
I do, and it's not a simple, I won't say that it's a simple, it's not a technical black and white. It's not even necessarily a fidelity black and white, that it's better or that it's worse than digital. It's just everything that comes with vinyl. So, for me, vinyl was the predominant medium when I grew up as a kid. So I knew, 45s and LP records from when I was, a tiny little kid. So growing up with that, having a father who was in the audio business and had a massive record collection, you get all this imagery and you remember all of those great record album covers. And, that was one of the things that still really turns me on about vinyl, is that nice big artwork, gatefold covers. I mean, let's face it, CDs, although there have been some marvelous productions done, with multiple fold-out sleeves and covers, they really haven't kept up with what vinyl, at least in the heyday, and still what's being done today in some of these covers. And it's just, you've got more space to work with.
Yeah, and I would say that was the original jewel box idea. Well, I think in the 80s, it was cool to see something so small. It took away the album art. And that was one of the original complaints, and it's always stayed true. I mean, looking at a little disc or a little booklet, seeing little print, it doesn't do anything for it. But sound quality.
Right.
Do you believe an LP is better, not that just than a CD, but digital on the whole?
Well, knowing, I'm an engineer. So I have an engineering background. I've worked my entire career in engineering, mostly in the audio world. So I know from a measurement standpoint, I know all of the intricacies of, what's good about digital, what's bad, what's good about vinyl or analog, what's bad. I know all of those little nitpicky things that you get into. At the end of the day, though, so my thing is I have a deeper emotional connection with the music I'm listening to when I listen to it on vinyl. Now, that could be the high crosstalk of vinyl. That could be that noise floor that some people have suggested gives you the feeling of being at either a live event or in a large concert hall, where you get this actual ambient noise. And maybe the noise floor in vinyl is recreating some of that. But, even if I take an LP that's been pressed from a digital format, a high-res digital file, and I listen to the high-res digital file, I will still 9 times out of 10 prefer the vinyl.
You'll prefer.
So it is, I think it's those imperfections that I enjoy and that I like hearing. And that, as an engineer, that kills me, because I'm like, well, that's crazy. The logical side of me says I shouldn't be, that's not what I should be choosing to listen to, but I just find it emotionally more engaging.
Now, you told me, how many LPs do you have?
About 15,000.
And how many CDs do you have?
About 4,000.
Do you download files at all?
Occasionally, yeah. I have about 100 albums in 2496 or 24192. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not oblivious to digital.
Oh no, and I've got on loan from the kind people at Bryston. I've got their BDP player and their BDA DAC. So I'm not, I'm not slumming it when it comes to digital. So I have really good state-of-the-art digital playback, file playback equipment, and I have a state-of-the-art turntable system. So it's almost a level playing field there.
Now, let's say somebody's getting into vinyl. What I've noticed, really affects the sound quality is the setup of the turntable, and in particular on a lot of the low-priced turntables I'll deal with, the tracking force.
Yeah.
You don't have enough tracking force, the thing sounds wiry and thin and no bass. You have too much tracking force, sounds a lot better, and you grind down.
Yeah.
So what do you find, like if somebody's going to get into vinyl?
Yeah. Well, my first, and it's a question I get a lot, actually, from friends and family that know me and say, oh, you know what, I want to check this out, I want to try it out. My biggest thing is please don't go on Amazon, and I have nothing against Amazon. Don't go on Amazon, though, and buy, you know, an XYZ plasticky turntable that comes complete with cartridge. Have them ship it to you, plug it in, put a record on, and go, this doesn't sound very good. This is really one of the biggest places where I implore you to go, no matter what your budget is. It's $500, $5,000, doesn't matter. Go to a dealer. Go into a retailer. And, you know, a lot of people probably haven't done that in a long time, you know, because you can buy anything online these days. But here's where a good retailer, a good dealer is really worth their salt. If they're actually carrying a wide line of turntables, you know, tone arms, cartridges, they better have a good setup guy. They really better. I mean, that was commonplace back, we go 20, 30 years ago. Every dealer had the setup guy. Sometimes they'd even come to your home and do setups. But I mean, even if you buy a, you know, a $500 Raga turntable setup, buy it at a dealer, have them check it, look it over, because yes, from the factory, a lot of stuff is already set, but you have no idea. You're not going to have the proper equipment to check it out. You probably don't have a scale to check it out. So you're going based on faith that in shipping, you know, from the UK, that thing didn't get jostled around and is still 100%. But the other reason that I implore people to go to a dealer if they're just getting into vinyl, they can walk you through everything. You know, where should you put your turntable? Should I put it, you know, on the same rack or shelf that, you know, one of my bookshelf speakers is sitting on? No, that's a bad idea. You and I know that. If you're just getting into vinyl, you may have no clue. You know, what are the parts of the turntable? What should I keep clean? You know, just all of those aspects. But that's somewhere, and then if you run into problems, you can get on the phone and say, hey, Mr. Dealer, it's sounding a little weird, the speed seems off, what can I do? So turntables are not plug-and-play devices like a CD player or a smartphone or anything else like that. So,
and I think what you brought up is important, because one of the myths I think in audio is people who just say vinyl sounds better. I was at a record store and some guy says, oh, the best sound is on vinyl. No, not necessarily. Okay, a lousy turntable playing a lousy pressing of a record sounds lousy.
absolutely.
A lousy turntable sounding a great playing a great pressing of a record sounds lousy.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has to be a really well set up turntable.
Yep. And the one thing to keep in mind is that
There is a boat going by, just if anybody's wondering.
Because everything about vinyl playback, turntable, it's a purely mechanical transfer to get that electrical signal off of that vinyl disc. It's all mechanical. So we're dealing with things where, you know, minute little adjustments make a huge difference. So that's why I say, you know, go to somebody who knows. And I mean, if you don't want to go to a dealer, ask amongst your friends and family. Maybe somebody's into vinyl. Maybe somebody knows how to set up turntables and can check things for you. But, you know, also don't be scared of that. You know, with most turntables these days, there isn't a lot of fiddling and tweaking that needs to be done. Once they're set up, they'll stay set up for years without having to adjust or touch them, other than maybe replace your stylus, your cartridge. And then that's another area where a dealer can really help you out, because they can inspect them and say, is this still okay or not?
So I think what you said is important about the quality of the turntable, because one of the myths in audio is that vinyl just sounds better. People out there, oh, vinyl's great, it's this. No, it's not. You have a lousy turntable and it's not going to sound good. You have a lousy pressing, it's not going to sound very good. Let me ask you about that. Do you buy any of the new remasters of albums, or do you go for the old stuff?
You know, I do both. There is like anything else. You know, we've probably all run into good recordings, you know, bad recordings. Unfortunately, sometimes some music, you know, I have tracks that I love, songs that I love, and they're so badly recorded, it's kind of like I'll crank it up and then go outside and, and listen with the door ajar. You know, it's like anything else. There are good vinyl reissues, there are not so good vinyl reissues. And, you know, because we have a limited number of plants that are making vinyl these days across the world, you know, I think that the quality control is slipping a little bit. But so used vinyl is great because you can look at it and you have a good record dealer who will help you, you know, figure out and look, is this a good condition album or not, is cool. But remasterings are great if they're done well. And like anything else, some are done really well, some not so well.
So there you have it. Hardcore speaker and electronics engineer, still into vinyl.
Thanks a lot, Doug.